All right, I'm going to share with you guys something that happened in the lesson that I learned, and hopefully you can learn from my mistake and not make the same mistake. So, a few days ago, I was talking to someone, and they were telling me about something that happened in their life, a very traumatic time in their life that took place about 2 years ago. And that after that conversation, I literally left feeling terrible, asking them, to forgive me, right? Apologizing and, repenting before God. So, 2 years ago, in May of 2022, I had a dream about an individual and their family. And it was a pretty, sensitive topic. And I saw in the dream, she was telling me about it. And I said in the dream, man, like I should have reached out to you sooner. God put you in my spirit, and I should have called you and reached out to you sooner. That was a dream. Now, there was something in the dream that didn't quite make sense to me, and it was kind of like the opposite of what I know to be true, right? And there was something that just kind of threw me off. So because of that, I discredited the dream, and I just assumed that it wasn't prophetic. But just in case, I prayed for them, and that was it. I didn't reach out. I didn't have any discussions about what I saw, because I was like, I don't know if this is accurate, because this is like completely off. There was something that was completely off to me. Well, I had that dream May 2022. Apparently in June of 2022, everything that I saw in my dream went down. And even that very thing to me that caused me to discredit the dream, that didn't make sense to me, made perfect sense to her in the situation that she was going through. So as she was going through it, she was praying and asking God, like, help me. I don't know how I'm going to make it through this. Like, let me know that you hear my prayers. Like, let me know that I'm not alone in this. She's like, send someone to just like help me. Send someone to talk to me. Send someone to let me know that you hear me. Right. And so she never heard anything. She went through that ordeal by herself. She's a very private person. She went through that ordeal on her own and was really upset during that time. And for about 2 years, she kind of held a grudge towards God and was angry towards God because he didn't come through for her. So she thought. In reality, he did send someone. He sent someone before what went down, and that person was me, and that person was disobedient, and that person did not do what she was supposed to do. And something in that dream caused me to discredit the dream, but it made perfect sense to that individual. So what I thought was nothing, or just thought was just like, didn't make sense, actually made perfect sense. It just didn't make sense to me. And so I did the right thing initially by praying for them and praying about it, but I did not follow through in reaching out to her. And in the dream, I specifically said, God dropped you in my spirit, and I should have reached out to you. I've been on this walk with God long enough to know how he speaks to me, right? But I think part of it for me was this was such a sensitive topic and a difficult conversation, and I don't like to have those types of conversations, right? But I'm also reminded that I didn't choose this call. Like, I didn't choose this assignment. God chose it for me. And my responsibility is to follow through, is to obey my boss, who is God, right? And so for 2 years, she was frustrated at God when in fact he had already sent someone even before what went down was going to go down. And I left feeling terrible, yo. I mean, like, when I tell you that I felt terrible, I felt terrible. That caused me to revisit my dreams, because I write them all down. And I saw there was some other dreams and some other things that I saw in dreams that I've prayed about. And I've prayed for the people that I saw. But I, took some steps to actually address some things just to make sure that I'm in the clear, But I hope that for those of you who are dreamers, for those of you who are prophetic, for those of you who God gives visions, whatever it is, right? We pray about everything, right? In every situation, we want to pray first. But you got to take the next step, which is asking God, what is your next? And when God reveals to you what your next is, you got to do it. Because you may be uncomfortable, but your discomfort should not lead to disobedience, right? Your discomfort is just a part of what the assignment is. God is not going to give us things to do that are easy peasy, right? The things he gives us to do and the assignments he gives us cause us to be stretched. And stretching doesn't feel comfortable. And stretching is not the things that we're going to choose, right? It's the things that we're not going to choose. But we also have to understand that other people are impacted or affected by our obedience or our disobedience. And when we know that and we understand that, it will definitely make us see things differently. And so going forward, I'm not playing around, because I know the things that are not worth addressing, the things that are prophetic. And so that was my mistake. Don't make the same mistake that I made. So I hope this was helpful for somebody. If God showed you what you need to do, As uncomfortable as that may be for you, you got to do it. Your job is to be obedient. That is your job. And it's not up to you to decide what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. What doesn't make sense to you may make sense to that person. That's not your decision, and that's not the deciding factor. Go before God and present it before God and see how he leads you. All right? But at the end of the day, when you know what you should do and God shows you what you ought to do, you need to do it. Because doing it halfway is still disobedience. Partial obedience is still disobedience.